That's not measuring. That's not measuring. There's nothing to measure.
The
There's
gravitational field.
only thing you can measure is how matter behaves. Because concerning the assumed gravity, what it's supposed to be itself, you can't measure anything about it. You can only deduce it from how matter responds in the world. You deduce it. Other things, not it. And with relative density, that problem's not there.
How do you measure it?
Huh? Oh, I was referring to gravitational fields when I said measure it. You can measure a gravitational field. Okay.
How?
See, if we take a parallel set of electric plates, what we can do is we can induce a voltage between them, and what that causes is an electric field to occur, a constant electric field across the plates. Okay? You with me so far? That's okay, right? Nobody's got any disagreements with what I'm saying so far, because I've said this a few times now, so
Can you say it again, maybe a little slower?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. When I'm nervous, I say things quickly. But
I understand. Just because it is something really new, say it a little slower so we can really get it clear what you mean.
I'm a physicist. I'm not very good at public speaking. I'm sorry.
You're doing fine. You're doing great, man. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, if we have two plates, just metal plates, and we induce a voltage across them, well, what happens is there's an electric field between the plates. Okay? Does anybody have any disagreements with that so far?
Well, yeah. Where do we see this gravity in nature? So rather than telling me what you're going to induce in a man-made device, where do we observe it naturally happening?
Well, this is actually an example of it naturally happening.
Sorry, take me to your naturally occurring magnetized plates, please. Where does that happen in nature?
I'm not saying that. We're not talking about electric plates.
So I'll ask again, where in nature does this happen? Where in nature
can
I see
hold on.
Yeah, this is another level that I don't fully ascribe to, but I do recognize.
What you're saying to me right now is like saying, how do you measure distance in nature? And me saying, well, we take a ruler. Oh, but where does a ruler occur in nature? That's akin to what you're saying right now. We're using the electric plates.
Distance is a concept.
That's exactly what we're saying.
Sorry, I'm not asking for scientific validity to distance. I'm saying, where do we experience?
I'm aware that an analogy.
Sorry, I'm nearly there. So where do we experience the thing that you are about to measure? So you're saying the thing you're going to measure is gravity. And I'm asking, where do we observe that in nature?
So just on day-to-day life, just independent from the... Okay, well, gravity is the idea that there's a force applied per mass in a gravitational field. Now, I'm saying that there's a gravitational field on Earth, ergo, every mass...
No, sorry. Not your fundamentalist belief about what Earth does, but where do I observe it in nature?
Anything that falls.
Anything that falls.
Well, it's not that simple, but if you want to put it really, really straightforward without having me explain it, then yeah. Anything that has a force applied downwards towards the center of Earth is chances are due to gravity. That's not saying that every force is. You could induce an electric force, but my point is, on a day-to-day life, if you were to say drop your keys, that's an example of gravity, but I'm assuming...
No. The keys are more dense than the air they're passing through.
But the only reason that's happening is because of gravitational theory.
So if I drop my helium balloon, will that do the same thing?
No, because helium is different from the air around it. That's also a component.
Sorry, you seem to be saying an explanation that relates it to the air around it. Wouldn't that be relative density that you're explaining the balloon going up?
So the air is more dense. The reason is...
Yeah, that's relative density. That's what I just said. So you're using the explanation of... Sorry.
Oh, come on. Let's keep it...
We're off on a track. I just want to know where you observe gravity in nature. Just tell me that. I don't want to describe relative density and what happens in relative density. Just tell me where we observe gravity in nature. Because dropping keys is its relative density versus the air. So if I drop helium, it goes up. So that's not an example that I can take as an example of gravity. So where do I observe gravity in nature?
If you want an example that has absolutely nothing to do with anything around the object, I can give you that, but let me go through the electric plates. I need to set up...
No, I want to know where I see gravity in nature, because you're going to tell me about some experiment you're going to do, apparently. Well, I don't want that. I want to know where I observe the natural phenomena first.
Right.
That's step one.
The example see your example of density. Gravitational theory is, in accepted science, the cause of that. That is where you would observe gravity in nature. Now, obviously, you're...
Oh, I see. Excellent. So if we've got a cause and effect... If we've got a cause and effect relationship, the scientific method would be the thing that elucidated it as the cause. So you're saying the natural phenomena is actually relative density. That's the phenomena we're observing. Is that what you're saying? So dropping the keys is just a forced phenomenon of relative density, and you're going to establish the cause, which would be using the scientific method, correct?
Sure, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the experiment that's been done to establish the cause of relative density? And how did you vary gravity?
Well, if you want the cause of relative density, what
You've just told me it's gravity. You've just told me this. You've said the cause is gravity.
I know that. I'm trying to use.
So now I want to know if that's your cause, it's your independent variable in your hypothesis. How are you going to vary gravity?
Hold on a second. We don't need to vary gravity to show.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
It's an
you do.
independent
We
variable.
discussed this.
Hold on, Owen. I've got him. It's okay. It's an independent variable.
Can I-
The
can I
thing you'll
cancel
vary.
the sentence?
Hold on. Stop talking over me. Yes, you are incorrect, undergraduate. Your independent variable absolutely requires varying. So I want to know for the third time how you're going to vary this thing called gravity.
And I would be more than happy to elaborate and tell you if you would shut the fuck up for 10
Oh,
seconds.
no need to get
Hey,
triggered.
hey, no
yeah.
swearing.
No need to get triggered, my
Come on.
undergraduate friend.
Won't let
Your
me-
flat Earth friend on the
won't let
panel,
me
that's me, is handing you your ass by asking you how you will vary
on,
something
Nathan.
that you haven't shown us. Is it the
I'm trying
cause,
to. I haven't
or is it the effect? You don't seem to
Quiet.
know and would rather swear at me because you're very triggered because I'm holding your toes to the fire.
No, you're
Now
not
tell
holding
me how
Holding
you
my
will
tongue.
vary and manipulate your independent variable of gravity.
Yeah, I did ask you this before too, Kyle. You never really
I'm going to mute.
responded to that. So he does have a point. I know Nathan's being a bit harsh here. That's
He's not being harsh. I'm not allowed to talk. Right, let me give my example of electric plates.
yeah, but that's
No,
not an answer
no,
to the
we've already gone
question.
through that. You've just told us that what the phenomena is that we're establishing the cause of is relative density. You've said the cause is gravity. Now show me how
Yeah.
you'll vary and manipulate that you presume is the cause. This is science. Why
I
are
can
you?
show
Are you,
you
are you
how-
actually a scientist? Are you just lying about what you're doing as a education process? Because it seems that I would understand that you vary and manipulate an independent variable to prove the cause of an effect. Do you not know that?
I do know that. I can
Right,
show
so
you.
tell me how you'll vary what you have told
We
me is
don't
your
need to do that
presumed
every
cause
single
of this
example.
effect. Tell me
There are
how you
certain-
will vary it. Stop talking and tell me how you vary gravity. Something you've not shown us.
Stop talking and tell me something.
No, you tell me something. You
You
tell me
just
how
said.
you vary.
I'm quoting you.
Gravity.
Stop talking and tell me something. I would love to. See the example you gave of relative density. The reason that we can attribute that to gravity is because when we surround those keys in a vacuum, they still go down, and they go down with a force proportionate to the equations in the theory. Now,
Well,
go-
you're
Hold
removing.
on,
The,
let me
you're
respond to that,
removing
Nathan, please.
You're removing the aspect of relative density when you remove the air.
Right. Well, yeah, the air, even though it's gonna be supposedly a vacuum, it's this relative density rules still function as they are. So a vacuum is not gonna take away the displacement effect caused by relative density. See?
The point that I'm making is that the relative density is only a thing because of gravity. Now, if
Because you
no,
assume
no,
that.
no.
Because you assume that. Kyle.
It's-
You know, it's only
it
an
makes
aspect.
sense.
It's only an aspect when you remove the very thing that causes it, which is relative density. You're saying if I remove the aspect of the density of the medium it's traveling through, then everything travels at the same rate. Well, where do we observe that in nature?
What? Wait, sorry, give me that again.
Where do we observe that which you say 9.8 meters per second in a vacuum? Where do we observe that happening in nature? Because you're just removing the very aspect of relative density by removing the air. So this only occurs in your example, the experiment in this, if you're going to call it, this vacuum chamber, or
It
your
only-
plates, or I haven't finished,
Sorry.
or in
There you
your
go.
plates that you go on about. I simply want to know what we observe in nature, and what you tell me is we observe relative density. Where does gravity come in? Well, when I remove the relative aspect of it. Well, this is nonsense. Total nonsense. If you claim that gravity is the cause of the effect of relative density, then you show me the experiment where you varied that which you presumed was the cause. In this case, gravity. Show me that.
Right. I did ask
The
you
only-
that before, but you bring up the plates. But
Sorry, right, okay, well, allow me to answer it then as best I can. The issue is the only example that we can give where 9.8 meters per second is observed unhindered is an example at which does not conform to your standards. You want stuff to be, in essence, in the way of the density.
no, hold on. I
Try not
disagree.
to-
Hold on. I want to respond to that. That's not right. The
sorry,
fall
my apologies.
acceleration rate, of which g is derived, it is a thing. But that doesn't make it a force. It's a deducted element. It's a statistical effect, side effect, an anomaly, a phenomena. But that doesn't prove a force.
But the thing is, how do I put this? The 9.8 meters per second is used to illustrate
Acceleration
the
rate.
gravitational force. Because
No, that's what you assume. It's an
I'm trying-
it's an
I'm trying to
acceleration
explain
rate
why
that
I
you
assume that,
deduce
though.
to be there. That doesn't necessarily imply naturally a force to be there. That is where you jump the assumption.
the acceleration rate is
Yes.
caused by a force.
Really?
Yeah, when you remove the air, when you remove what you said was your phenomena, you said it's relative density, something we observe in nature, not vacuums. So then you remove the relative aspect of it and blame it on this thing called gravity. So you're removing the relative aspect by putting it in a vacuum. So this is nonsense.
We're removing things that would otherwise hinder the actual
What
movement of the motion.
you're saying the phenomena is relative density.
But
When
we
I
can
said,
explain-
why are you talking? I went on mute. I shut up while you talked.
Sorry,
I
on you
listened
go.
to your nonsense.
I-
Why is it? Why are you still talking now? Yeah, put yourself on mute and shut up. When you remove the very aspect of the phenomena you claimed you were observing, relative density, then you attribute a force to the very thing you've removed, and you're left with something that's relative also, direction. So you've got a relative force for a relative direction in a very unnatural state that you've created. This is total and utter nonsense. If you claim gravity is the cause of relative density, then show me it causing things to be dense in a relative state. Don't remove the density of the very nature of the medium it's in and then claim a force that you're trying to prove in the first instance causes that relative density. This is utter nonsense.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Sorry.
Can I speak? Perfect. Right. So just to illustrate, well, let's take. I know you guys don't want me to go through vacuums. You want me to give an example in nature where we see gravitational theory at work, independent from other things like
No, not where we see gravitational theory at work, where we see this force you claim exists.
That is that's a proponent of gravitational. I can only give you gravitational theory.
So you can only give me the mathematics that's been conjured by
the
people like
mathematics
I.
are
Well,
used
that's
to
not
illustrate
proof of anything.
concepts.
Maths
Yeah.
just describes things. It doesn't prove the cause of anything. Maths isn't proving anything. It's just a description of something. So it doesn't give you a proof of anything. It's just a description.
It's
But
a
So
that's
structure.
I thought you said you were on a scientific course. Why are you talking maths? Are you on a maths course then?
It's a physics degree.
So you do understand cause and effect relationships aren't caused by numbers and mathematics.
Well, obviously, I'm not.
Right,
saying
so
that,
who
but
gives a crap about your mathematical numbers when you attribute gravity?
You're just
A
interrupting
force.
and yelling at me.
Yeah,
Like,
because
Come on,
you are
Nathan.
telling me about maths, aren't you? The mathematical theory that you will apply to the nonsense that you do in a vacuum. Well, that's maths.
the equations in mathematics
Yeah,
illustrate
maths.
things more
Maths.
eloquently than
Stop
English.
talking about maths. This is not a maths forum, is it, Arwin? We want to talk about the natural world, not maths.
Well, we're trying to
I can
get
do
you
that,
to
but-
concede, basically, that yeah, it all works out mathematically. We talked about this pretty calmly before. It all works out mathematically, but you can't really prove it. And now we're trying to basically force you to concede this fact, but you keep on moving around a red herring to how the formulas work. Well, we know the formulas work, but
Okay.
we're actually looking for the scientific evidence, which requires a very specific method of approach.
Okay, then that's fine. Then let's move totally away from the maths and totally away from all numbers. I will not mention an equation to the best of my ability for the rest of this discussion, unless you want.
Excellent. What's your scientific evidence of
Wait.
gravity?
How about instead of you asking me questions for a second, I get an opportunity to give an example just for a few moments, if you wouldn't mind.
Is
Just
it you're a physics undergraduate. Is it a
I am.
scientific evidence? So it will be scientific evidence then, as that's what you're training for, right? This will be
Oh, yeah.
scientific evidence.
Yeah.
Excellent. Can you start by giving me the hypothesis of that will include the phenomena and presumed cause? So go.
You're in essence
Hypothesis for gravity. Go.
You're asking me. I wasn't going to give a hypothesis for gravity.
Well, that's scientific evidence. I just asked you if you were going to give a scientific evidence. You replied in the affirmative. Now I damn well expect you to give me a hypothesis, as that's what scientific evidence is. Are you lying about your training in science? Because I would
Excuse me?
expect you to know that scientific evidence.
Hold on. Right. Fine then. If I'm lying, then explain to me how I have this. I'm going to give you my lab reports. Okay.
I don't
then
care. I don't want lab reports. I want scientific evidence of gravity. Don't give me an appeal to your authorities and their papers. Give me scientific evidence. That would be an observed phenomena, a formulated hypothesis, and systematic experimentation. I would expect you to know this. You don't seem to.
You're asking to do what could take weeks to write up concisely in the matter of minutes on a live stream.
No,
we're
Personally,
asking you
I'm
to
asking-
prove your scientific.
I'm asking that this has been asserted by your superiors. You should be able to acquire, at a pinch, some scientific validity for your fundy belief in gravity. So give it me. Scientific evidence of gravity. Go.
I'm assuming you've no idea as to how big science is. You have
I
any
understand what the
that's not
scientific
true,
method
and
is. I
tell me
understand
what my
what the
superiors
scientific
expect.
method is.
Yeah,
You
I
have just
explained
told
this
me
to
you
you as
understand
well.
what the scientific method is too. So if you understand what the scientific method is, I understand what the scientific method is. You give me scientific evidence for gravity. Go.
Right.
Okay.
Please, and please just do it, and don't spin around. Let's not. Nathan is very direct, very passionate, and yeah, he's applying the typical debates method. I would like to calm it a little bit down, but yeah, he does have a point, and you keep on evading it.
Well, to
I
be
would
quite
like to
frank,
hear you explain your electrical plate experiment, though, or you call it an experiment. But please don't assume, therefore, that will actually be proof, because yeah, in order to have scientific proof, you will be required to manipulate the independent variable and not make a deduction-based conclusion on some other apparatus. Just saying. But please, if Nathan would allow him to, please explain the experiment. About the
my
plates
problem, Arwen, is the fact that I saw your early bird show, and I thought, oh, look, here's a completely normal, irrational person. He has his own beliefs and his own perspectives. Great. Well, I come from a family that has a wide variety. You know, there are creationists in my family, albeit I disagree with them vehemently. But I'm good at talking with people like that because I show them respect. And I feel like I came on your show. I saw it was a very calm show. You seem like a calm person. I've came on and I've decided to partake in it. And now we've ended up in a yelling contest with Nathan Oak.
Well, let's stop it then. And I'm asking Nathan too, so please just tone it down. We get it.
I got a bit agitated as well.
Yes.
Okay, I'll
Why don't
apologise
we
then.
both agree? Right. I apologize for swearing at you, telling you to,
No
Let-
problem.
let's both try and
I
right?
apologise
Okay.
also. I'm
Great.
very sorry. I'll just be a little bit more calm in my approach and say,
Fantastic.
pretty please, with
I'll do
sugar
the
on
same.
top, please can you give us the observed phenomena and a hypothesis with systematic experimentation to back your fundamentalist belief in gravity, please?
Right.
Right now? Oh, okay. If we have, how do I put this? See, I want to go through the electric plate example, but
Right.
I
Yeah, do
would-
it.
I know
Please,
that we
yeah, hold on.
substantiate-
Go through the electric plates, and Nathan, please let him finish. Okay.
I did square off equations though, which will be awfully difficult, but I can do it. I can do it if I just don't, because we use maths and physics to illustrate things that are awkward to illustrate with words, but they are.
We're gonna be looking, as you explain it, mostly at how you're actually manipulating the independent variable, what your approach is. If the hierarchical structure of all the systems, how that fits, we don't really care about that, because that's conceptual.
In
Just so
that
you know.
case, I think I can give you an answer you'll appreciate.
All right, go ahead.
See if with gravity, unlike with things like electric fields, we cannot change and alter the direct effect or the see if we have an electric field, there are two variables that we can alter. We can alter the voltage and the distance between the plates. Both of these things will change the electric field. We can only change basically one of these things in gravity. Other than the masses themselves, if we keep those constant, the only other thing we can change is the distance from the two sources. That's it. We can't change anything else. If that's not good enough, if that's not
That is it. That is the entire
that's all we
thing.
can do, and you guys don't agree with that, okay. I can sort of
But-
see where you're coming from, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
but-
actually discredit any of the theory. It just says that it's not to the same degree at which you would be happy with. It's not. in
It's not
science,
scientific evidence, basically.
But it is scientific evidence because all of it works. It's a theory. It's
Yeah,
falsifiable.
but that doesn't make it
makes
science. If it
prediction.
all works,
Sorry, sorry. Can I interrupt? Have you
Make
finished?
science,
Is
though.
this the end? Have you? Will
Oh,
you
yeah, go for
continue?
it. I'll be quiet. Yep, I'll mute.
So earlier you had Arwin on the colloquial use of the word theory. So I'll ask you very directly: was that a colloquial use of the word theory, or was that a scientific theory you were just mentioning?
When I said gravitational theory, I was referring to scientific theory.
Oh, scientific theories would be backed by systematic experimentation, backed by a hypothesis after observing a phenomena and establishing cause and effect. In other words, scientific theories are the result of an established cause and effect relationship that has adhered to the scientific method, or multiples thereof. So if it's a scientific theory, it's based on scientific evidence, precisely what I've been asking you for. So give me the scientific evidence that backed the theory of gravity, starting with the observed phenomena, followed by the hypothesis, which would be the establishment of the independent and dependent variables, otherwise known as observed phenomena, and independent being your presumed cause, in this case, gravity. So give me the scientific evidence. It's about the fifth time I've asked you, a scientist, for scientific evidence. And you're saying, well, if I give you a load of maths, that won't be satisfactory. Yeah, I want an adherence to the scientific method. That's what you're being trained in. So you do understand that step one of the scientific method is to observe a phenomena, something occurring in nature, as it's a study of the physical and natural world. You do appreciate that's step one of the method, don't you?
Of course.
So give me step one. What is your observed phenomena?
Okay, so just to go all the way back then to the start of the theory of gravity, which is what you're asking
No,
for.
step
you're
one,
asking
observe
for-
a phenomena.
come on.
Don't go
Yeah,
to the
yeah, yeah,
theory.
that's what I'm
Stop,
saying.
stop
That's what I'm
talking,
saying.
stop talking. Theories come last. Did you not understand what I just said? Theories are the result of an adherence or multiple adherences to the scientific method. Don't go to the theory, that's last. Are you dumb? I thought you were a man of science.
Excuse me?
Don't start with the theory. Step one, observe a phenomena. Don't go to the end, start at the beginning. What kind of man of science doesn't start
I
at the beginning and starts at the end? I haven't finished. I'm berating you for your idiocy.
I'm not.
Why are you starting at the last step of theory when I ask you for your
I
observed phenomena?
specifically stated at the start of the theory. What I meant was the origination of the theory of gravity. What I
I don't
meant.
We're not
care.
really
I don't
interested.
care.
Phenomena.
I
Look,
want
but-
you to listen.
please,
Let
please.
me ask him again
You.
calmly. Let me ask him calmly. Let me ask him calmly and see if he actually responds in the affirmative. Step one in the scientific method, in the pursuit of scientific evidence, is to observe a natural phenomena. Now, I want you to give me that.
Right. Or concede that you can't, please.
It's not that we can't. It's that. See the
Then
observed.
do it.
The observed phenomena is impossible to observe unhindered in day-to-day life by.
Well, then it doesn't happen.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
But if it happens, I can observe it. What are you talking about? That's nonsense.
It's
If
not
it doesn't
that-
happen, it's not real.
It's not that it's not happening. It's that the example you gave of specific density, or what we call it specific gravity. Sorry.
Why do you
you're
keep
taking
talking
a-
about gravity? I want to know the observed phenomena.
The
that
relative
was-
density theory is what you're referring to, and what
Not
I'm
theory. How many times? That's the last step. How many times? Step one. I'm going to speak really slowly for you, Kyle, the man of science. So, Kyle, step one in the scientific method is to observe a natural phenomena in order to end with theory. So, where did this journey begin? What was the observed phenomena? Was that slow enough for you, scientist?
Oh, you're okay. Right. So the observed phenomena is the example with the keys. I understand that you've already said that was what was the word you used?
You caused that. You dropped the keys. You're telling me that the scientific
Density.
the scientific community is
Phenomena
your
is relative
keys.
density.
That's not an observed natural phenomena. You dropped the keys. That's not natural
No, come on,
phenomena.
let's not go there.
Oh.
Come on.
Okay, you can drop it,
Yeah,
anything.
you can. That's the cause. You dropping them. Are you an idiot? Do you not know that you caused
Okay,
that when
well,
you dropped them?
Arwen, it has been a pleasure talking to you, but I'm not going to sit here.
Oh,
And,
well,
I get it.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
I'm
want
sorry,
to talk to
I'm
me
sorry.
either if I was a man of science and I was having my ass handed to my.
Look,
You're
I'm a
Nathan,
complete
Nathan,
layman.
hold
Yeah,
on,
man of
Nathan.
science
Come on,
can't
come
even
on,
give me
Nathan.
an
These are
actual
not
phenomena.
these are
He has
not
just
your
declared,
debates, please.
and Arwin, just let me say my piece. He is just, as a man of science, declared that dropping keys is a natural phenomena. That doesn't make him a scientist. That makes him a retard.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
I was just trying to give an example of gravity. If you
Yeah,
want the natural
observed
phenomena,
natural
a bird
phenomena.
landing. There,
How
a
deaf are
bird
you? I don't
landing.
want an observed.
A bird landing. I've just said it 3 times. A bird
Oh,
landing.
a bird
that's an example
landing.
of gravity.
You're going to give me. You're telling me that the natural phenomena is bird landing. So
The issue is
if
the gravity.
okay, no worries. So you're going to give me the cause of bird landing. What the hell's that got to do with gravity?
You wanted an example of gravity acting in day-to-day life.
Yeah, you're going to vary and manipulate an independent variable to cause a bird to land. Are you an idiot? You think you can vary a single independent variable and cause a bird to land?
I appreciate having you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
thank
getting your ass
you
handed to
for
you. Why are
being
you running
here.
away?
You can stay. I'm gonna end the show. I'm gonna leave the back panel
Running
open, so
away.
you keep on
Science
discussion
boy.
if you like. But yeah,
Doesn't know science from his ass. Ask for an observed phenomena that he's going to use to give me a proof of gravity and tells me bird landing. He thinks he's going to vary and manipulate an independent variable
No,
to cause
you-
a bird landing.
You
What
wanted an example
absolute
of gravity
hum-
acting.
enough of that. Yeah, Nathan. No, Nathan.